Gold FM is #1 here in Sigatoka.
Gold FM is our favorite radio station here in Lautoka.
Gold FM is #1 in Nel.
I love listening to Gold FM in Ba.
We love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits here in Suva.
Hear about bottled cola, you immediately think of gold. I'm Josephine Sabi and I love hearing Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
In this bulletin, electricity supply is safe despite a lack of rain. Workers at Fiji Fish hope for the best as more layoffs loom. And $2 billion tax collection target for 2014. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. Workers at Fiji Fish Company Limited in Lami face an uncertain future. Only skeleton staff are running daily operations at the factory, as more than 100 staff have already been laid off. Vosita Kotewasawasa reports.
Lambambiu has been with Fiji Fish for the past 25 years, supporting 6 children. She's worried that she too might lose her job, leaving the family with no source of income.
All I can say is that we are fortunate to be working now because then we are able to put food on the table to feed our families. And secondly, we are able to support the educational needs of our children.
Normally, there are as many as 60 people manning the processing line when fish supply is consistent. Now there's only a handful. Arun Kumar has also worked here for 2 decades. He's contemplating what to do in the next 2 weeks.
We all wondering actually. We don't know where we're ending. Like in the future, what will happen to us actually.
Fiji Fish Managing Director Graham Southwick met with senior government officials a few weeks ago, but no solution could be found. He says laying off staff is the last option as the company continues to make a loss.
This is no surprise to anybody. It has been ignored for 15 years. The industry has been accused of lying and exaggerating, and even to a point now where everybody's laid off, the boats are all tied up, and as we sit here today, there's been no reaction. So that doesn't give us any encouragement to keep going when there's just absolutely no reaction to what's gone on.
It's understood that stakeholders from the government and companies involved had another meeting late this afternoon. Vosita Kotewasawasa, FBC News.
With the hot weather and dry spell that we are experiencing, electricity consumption is high. Akosita Tale finds out just how much energy has been consumed so far this year.
The demand for electricity has risen substantially with the dry spell that Fiji is going through. We have used more energy this month than in any previous January.
If you were to take, after we had restored the power supply in January 13, if you were to compare the demand late January 13 to January 14, then the highest demand we had reached last year at the same time of this year was around 138 megawatts in our language. And today the demand is going up to about 148 megawatts.
This record increase has been the result of Fijians using more electrical appliances, especially air conditioning, to cool off due to the hot weather.
It's not a panic situation as such. As you can see, for the last 3 or 4 weeks, there hasn't been any really impact on the power supply as far as the customers are concerned. But the Electricity Authority, FEI, is closely monitoring the situation to make sure that we are able to meet the demand of the customers.
Our power supply may be affected if the Monasavu water level drops to around 7 meters. However, still at 16 meters, the FEI is optimistic.
With the generation out of Monasavu and Nandarivatu being limited to a certain extent because of the shortage of rainfall, we have to actually fire up a lot of our diesel power stations.
While there will not be any effect on outer islands and Vanua Levu, the FEA is advising the public in Viti Levu to use electricity wisely. Akosita Tale, FBC News.
Vuninyunrovo village in Naitasiri is slowly disappearing due to the effects of climate change. Most homes there have been moved to higher ground as soil erosion takes its toll. Eleanor Rangaivu reports.
The Waimanu River runs on 2 sides of Vuninyunrovo village. leaving little room for villagers as the effects of climate change slowly creep even closer.
Landslide is taken place in this village here. Many times after the flood or during the flood, we have to face landslide. This village is surrounded by rivers, which comes from the Waimanu, then comes through around the village. That's where this landslide or soil erosion ever take place in this village.
This is the remains of a house that had to be relocated due to the continuous erosion of the riverbanks.
So it's harmed plenty houses. Some of the houses have been taken away by the flood. Some has been shifted from lower ground to upper hills.
Meli Wangambada says villagers here have realized that climate change is inevitable and have taken it upon themselves to address the issue.
The houses, as you can see, the churches, all the footpath and all, it's all cement. It's all the gravels from the river. It's only done by the youths in the village and plus the help of the village elders and mostly just the village members.
Punini Nrobu is among the 670 villages identified by government as being affected by climate change. Within the next 5 to 10 years, 42 of these villages will have been relocated. Eleanor Turangibiu, FBC News.
Telecom Fiji Limited says its redundancy exercise was necessary to keep the company afloat. 94 employees were let go, and TFL Chairman Tom Ricketts says it's the result of increased competition. Apisalome Doka has the story.
Telecom Fiji Limited said it's been making losses which have put the company in a tight corner.
Over the last couple of years, because of competition, etc., Telecom has not been making a profit. So, we've had to look at ways of cutting costs, improving revenue, for us to stay in the market and compete with the other players.
In the early days of telecommunications, landlines were found in almost every home. These days, people mostly rely on mobile phones to stay in touch.
My view would be that over the years, telecommunications was a monopoly, but now with mobile phones, etc., coming in, the game plan has changed.
Ricketts says it's the responsibility of the board to keep Telecom Fiji operational and competitive in the current market.
This has been part of the ATH Group initiative to ensure that its subsidiaries respond effectively and remain competitive in the current adverse global economic climate. In doing this, we are confident that the company would be better positioned for a strong growth.
150 positions will be removed at the end of the restructure. Apisalome Doka, FBC News.
Anti-dengue campaign in full swing in the Central Division. That's coming up after the break.
Today FM is #1 here in Singatoka.
We love Today FM in Lambasa. It rocks!
My favorite station in Nandi is Today FM.
Listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks in Subak.
Lotoka City love Today's Kid Music.
I love Today FM because they play all my songs.
We love Today FM at Vuniva Lambasa. Yeah, it rocks!
I love Today FM because it rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Revenue collection by the Fiji Revenue and Customs Authority will hit the $2 billion mark for the first time in 2014. After surpassing all targets last year, FIRCA has set its sights even higher. Shanas Shivan reports.
The Fiji Revenue and Customs Authority has had another bumper year in tax collection, $1.86 billion against a target of $1.85 billion. This is $108 million more than what was collected in 2012.
The fiscal reforms made by government, it's working. The government has done massive tax cuts, indirect taxes, and now the revenue collection is just coming through indirect taxes through VAT, by and large. So it's consumption driven. There are a lot of new investment coming in. People are spending because of those massive cuts.
2013 saw robust VAT collection. Spending went up after taxes were dropped on various products in 2012. FRCA wants to collect $2.03 billion this year.
2004, when we crossed for the first time the $1 billion mark. Now we're crossing the $2 billion mark. So it's huge for us. So 2.039 billion. It's increased of about $200 million from last year. The task is big, but it's not impossible.
Revenue collection in 2013 made up 24% of Fiji's gross domestic product and 89% of total government revenue.
For the first time ever, the arrears, tax arrears, has gone below 60 million, or even reaching $60 million. We used to border around 120, 130 million.
This year's forecast is huge, and Tiko Levu says they will be aggressive and professional towards their strategies in order for them to succeed. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
Town and city councils in the Central Division are assisting the Ministry of Health in eradicating dengue-carrying mosquitoes following the recent outbreak in the Central Division. Shireen Lata reports.
The fight against dengue and the mosquitoes that carry it has taken place mostly in Suva and its surrounding areas.
We will be continuing this cleanup for the next 2 weeks. Basically what we'll do is once we wrap up the cleanup, we will do a survey. The Ministry of Health will conduct a survey and see whether dengue mosquito breeding places has been removed. And of course after that survey is done, then we will identify what further needs to be done.
The campaign began with a high number of reported cases a few weeks ago.
Pray for the month of December, and after the launch 2 weeks from there, then we're still waiting from the vector unit to come around and advise us again the next they'll do for Lami. But that will be from the Ministry of Health together with the spray department.
Suva City Council Chief Executive Officer Bijay Chand says, thanks to an overwhelming response from the members of the public, they have now successfully wrapped up their campaign in Suva.
Apart from that, we have served notices on the owners of vacant land whose land are overgrown with grass. And on council properties, we have cleared all the block drains, and we have completed all the cleaning work in the council properties.
So far, the Health Ministry has recorded 1,235 dengue cases, out of which 1,051 are from the Central Division. Shireen Lata, FBC News.
The Secretariat of the Pacific Community has found dengue fever is prevalent across much of the South Pacific. A study on epidemics transmitted by mosquitoes shows the dengue outbreak, shown in red dots, is ongoing in Fiji, French Polynesia, Kiribati, New Caledonia and Queensland in Australia. In the rest of the South Pacific, highlighted in blue dots, the peak of the outbreak has passed. The elders of Sawani village in the Tekina of Nandi Imbua are pleading with the government to urgently find a peaceful solution to a poaching dispute in their marine area. Mikalonga reports they also want all fishing licenses suspended until an amicable solution is found.
The Turanganiponuo of Sawani, Emosi Tovuto, is worried for his people whom he says had a confrontation with the alleged poachers in November.
It resulted in a fight between our young men of the village and the poachers. We are concerned that it might worsen and result in loss of lives.
Their alleged poachers are after beach dimmer and other sea slugs which are in abundance in this fishing ground, which belongs to the people of Sawani. According to the delegation that's currently in Suva, the alleged poachers are moving deeper into the reef and closer to the shore, scaring away the village women.
When we go to fish in the reef, the alleged poachers verbally abuse us and have caused us a lot of fear.
I haven't seen anything like this in my 83 years of life. I think people have got educated and have come up with such ideas.
Even young children are involved in this. All we can do is just stand and watch.
The baffled elders of Sawani village are questioning why their complaint to police in Nambowalu hasn't been taken up.
We have never agreed to withdrawing our complaint. The first reconciliation talks with some of the alleged poachers I arrested were solely done to iron out differences in our traditional links.
I was present in the third reconciliation talk at a neighboring village of Nasolo. I can't recall us agreeing to withdraw the charges.
Commissioner Northern Alipati Mbolalevu has instructed the Mbua Provincial Office to organize a meeting next week to discuss the matter. These villagers of Sewanee want nothing more but finding help to have their issues resolved in a peaceful and constructive manner, and they are hoping for quick action by relevant authorities before things get worse. Nikolonga, FBC News.
Jamie joins us now with sports. And how's our seven side doing in Sin City?
Well, Jackie, the team's been kept on a strict schedule, so I doubt they've had any time to indulge in all that Sin City has to offer. But we do get an update from camp after the break. Also up ahead, Rick Stone identifies what he feels is Fiji's biggest setback in rugby league. That and more coming up.
Gonga elambasa Mbula FM number 2 na sere.
Ndo talita kana borong na Mbula FM number 2 na sere su.
Kau buat tu gerak-geraki au rebot juga ni stima. Au ndo talita kana borong na Mbula.
Bola bina Fiji, Mbula FM number 2 singa toka.
Bola bina era roga. Mbula FM number 2 tikoga.
Bula FM number 2 na sere.
Welcome back. Less than 24 hours remain before the start of the Las Vegas Sevens in the United States. The Fiji side has wrapped up its training and is now awaiting its first pool match against Scotland tomorrow afternoon. Indra Singh spoke to coach Ben Ryan today.
After 3 weeks of hectic training and preparation, the national reps were given time to refresh their minds.
We have a street parade tonight, but then it's waiting tomorrow morning and afternoon for our first game, which isn't until, I think, just after 5:30 tomorrow night against Scotland. So I'll give them a treat tonight. I'll even allow them a couple of lumps of chocolate just to get their carbohydrates up so they're feeling good and they're ready to go tomorrow.
While all looks good, there's a certain factor that is against the side, and it's not any of the opposing teams.
We got on the training field on the tournament pitch today, and it is a very, very narrow pitch, and it's also a very slow pitch. The turf was already cutting up in the practice game, so I hope that improves overnight and it firms up a little bit so we can play some rugby on it tomorrow.
The mentor has also decided not to reveal his starting team, choosing to keep everyone guessing.
It's one of the things that I guess it's a coach's prerogative to keep those decisions, in my own mind. Yeah, I have a firm sort of idea, but not in every position, and it's a good thing for this tournament because I've got all 12 fighting hard for a starting spot.
Ryan has taken an approach of keeping his game plan a secret. What he can conjure up at Sam Boyd Stadium will be watched closely there and also here at home. New Zealand, Australia and Scotland stand in Fiji's way during the pool stages. However, based on the confidence oozing out of camp, anything is possible in the Sin City this weekend. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
Fijians lack the technical skills to match the top 3 nations in rugby league. Vodafone Fiji Mbati coach Rick Stone has identified this as a major obstacle for local players. He says he will be working to address it in time for the 4 nations qualifiers in May. Tsalendau Dakadaka has more.
The Fiji Mbati coach did not mince his words about the biggest problem facing local players.
One thing that the Fijians do lack is they lack a little bit of technical skill and technical nous in some of the execution of some of the skills in the game. So, my job is to reiterate those core skills and those technical pieces and try and educate them a little bit and educate them on having a real understanding how important attention to detail is in when they play.
Stone wants to see as many locals compete for places in the squad that will clash with Samoa in the 4 nations qualifiers. It may be tough for these ruggers to go up against overseas-based reps, but Stone is looking to expose them to a high level of competition.
Probably got a base of 20 sort of local players, that we'll have a look at, and we've got probably a base of, probably up to 30 overseas-based players or Australian-based players as well, and maybe a couple in Super League as well. So, there's about 50 players on the radar, I suppose, in a broader squad.
Stone will hold a clinic for local coaches tomorrow before returning to Australia on Sunday. Tsalendo Dakadak, FBC Sports.
Fiji volleyball served up its first competition for the year today through the Vuladhar Championship. 23 men's and 10 women's teams returned to the courts this morning in the hope of acing their way to the top 8 in the Central Division. It's a chance to showcase their skills and smash their way into the national team. Elena McDonald reports from courtside.
Most aerial battles have been dominated by 2 district teams.
If you've seen, like in the past tournaments, Fiji volleyball sanctioned tournaments, it's always Railway and Super playing in the final.
But the action today indicates there's a possibility the tables could be turned.
Rewanga has been out of the picture in terms of the national competitions for a while, for a couple of years. They started, I think, just 2 years back to come back again into the picture. And, they've been performing really well.
While teamwork is paramount, individual plays will be vital this weekend.
The selection for the national squad begins here right now with this Bulada tournament. We have a couple of national selectors that are scouting right now, and we've been able to identify some people.
What's most significant about the Vuladar Championship is the fact that teams will be trying to make the top 8 in order to qualify for the Vanua Challenge. From this, national squads will be chosen to prepare for the Oceania Games in June and start their build-up to the Pacific Games in Papua New Guinea next year. Elena McDonald, FBC Sports.
The Nandi football side is banking on its youngsters to create history against Ba in the champion versus champion. The 2 teams meet for the 3rd time in as many weeks, with a winner to be crowned tomorrow. The Jet Setters want to maintain the momentum of having had an upper hand over the Men in Black since last year.
It has been tough. Playing 3 matches against Ba 3 consecutive weeks is hard, and the boy is taking that toll on the boys. We've had some niggling injuries of the last week. And the preparation time is quite small because Monday we had time for recovery, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, the weather was quite bad in Nandi, so we hardly trained. We had a bit of a good session yesterday, but we've tried our best to get the team together and hoping to give our best shot against Ba tomorrow.
And that game starts at 4 p.m. at Churchill Park in Lautoka, and you can catch live commentary on FBC's Radio Fiji 2 with Raymond Stoddart. That's it from Sports Tonight. Good evening.
Levuka Homestay has been acknowledged by the prestigious travel website TripAdvisor as the #1 bargain hotel in Fiji. Homestay, which provides bed and breakfast accommodation, opened in 2002 and has 4 fully furnished rooms for guests. Owner John Malisi says this was only achieved through the hospitality of the people of Levuka.
I mean, it's not just what my wife and I do for the guests, but it's also the staff that we have working with us that really do a great job. And then the people in town here are just so friendly and welcoming, and so it becomes a total experience. It's not just a Levuka Homestay experience, it becomes a Levuka experience.
Levuka Homestay also received the TripAdvisor's Traveller's Choice Award in 2012 in the bargain hotel category. Weather time now. So, Jen, any good news for the weekend? Since we're having our company party tomorrow.
Fingers crossed, Jackie, that it is good news. But first, let's have a look at today's weather. What do you know? Only one of our major centers had thunderstorms this afternoon, while another just had showers. And I don't mind getting it wrong this time, considering we'd like to get this weekend off to a fabulous start. I feel a bit sorry for Lambasa today. They're the only ones to have thunderstorms, and they're the only ones on 34 degrees. Looking at everyone else, 32 is the popular number today. Now, I hope I'm wrong again tomorrow, Jackie. As you mentioned, we'll be grooving it out on the dance floor, and I'd like my hair to remain intact. But not to worry, only light showers are expected, Jackie, so you should be able to wear those coconut shells. Vanua Levu is our location of choice this evening. I love absolutely everything about this picture, but my favorite part is the sand. It reminds me of the West for some reason.
And probably your coconut shells as well. Thanks so much for that, Genevieve. A quick recap before we go. Electricity supply is safe despite a lack of rain. Workers at Fiji Fish hope for the best as more layoffs loom. And $2 billion tax collection target for 2014. To the poll question, we're asking, is our sevens team to Las Vegas Ben Ryan strongest since his appointment as coach? Visit the FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. That's news for tonight. Remember to join Amrita Priyadarshini from tomorrow with the weekend news. I'll be back again on Monday. Until then, you have yourselves a safe and enjoyable weekend. Nimo Demanda.
मिर्ची FM is #1 in Singapore.
और किसके सुनिए यार, हमारा एक सच्चा साथी है मिर्ची FM लंबा काट.
I love Mirchi FM. It's so hot. देखे में लाल लाल, खाए में हाय हाय. Tangi tangi tauwa में Mirchi FM is hot.
Here at Rugby Town, Singatoka, love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Suva. It's hot.
हम इंग्लिश लंबासा में रहता है. तो क्या बताएंगे मिर्ची FM सुनता है.
Mirchi FM, Mirchi FM,
it's hot.